I am so sick of this bullshit. Every fucking day in the swamps and the woods and the heat and the gnats. I hate this job. I think I'm in the right spot though. Let me see. Hey Ron, you said 700 yards east, right? Alright, yeah, I found it. I'll get started. Hurry up, eat that public sub and get your ass out here. There's like 8 hand augers. I ain't doing them all by myself. Nah, yeah, run your mouth. Alright, it's time to get started here. What the hell? Like, quit playing around, man. Run! Get to the chopper! So Predator tells the story of an elite group of commandos sent into the jungle on a secret rescue mission when they encounter an alien being that is dead set on making them all its prey. What's going on, everybody? Well, with the release of the Predator coming out very soon, I believe next weekend, I figured what better time than to talk about one of the greatest action movies ever made, and by far the manliest movie ever made, bar none, and that is John McTiernan's Predator. And not only am I reviewing this movie, but my good buddy Durbin from Durbania. You guys remember him from In the Mouth of Madness and a couple other little collaborative videos that we have done. He is also reviewing this movie. We reviewed the entire Alien franchise, so we figured it made sense for us to review Predator as well. Go over to his channel right now, Durbania. I'll put the link down below. His video is dropping the same exact time as mine, and check out Durbin's thoughts on Predator. Now, as far as my thoughts on Predator, stick around. So being the title that I just gave it as one of the greatest blank of all time, obviously I'm a huge fan of this movie. There's not going to be a ton of negatives. There's a couple of small things that I'll talk about, but for the most part, this is just a celebration of one of the most badass movies ever made, and that is Predator. Now, one of the main things that makes Predator is the Predator. Ha! How you like that? The alien design and just how badass the Predator is why this franchise is still going. Like, the Predator is just one of the most badass things to ever don the screen. And oddly enough, it was actually like kind of a mid-shoot change that they made. They used to have something that was more, a little bit insectoid, but then they changed the design and came up with the design that we know and love now, the dreadlock look of the Predator. And man, this thing is iconic for that alone. Just one of the coolest and most vicious beasts and vicious villains that you love to root for. And not only just the look of it, just the way that the creature acts, the way that it has this, you know, camouflage that lets it blend into any environment, the way that it stalks its prey, all the different technology that it has, like the plasma caster and of course the self-destruct sequence, the way that it has all the little tools and devices it needs to heal itself in the field, and the way that it's just, the name that it's given, Predator, totally fits because it's a predator for any kind of game that it is hunting. This thing is out there to prove that it's the most badass motherfucker on any planet that it decides to go into. And damn if he does not have one hell of a set of characters to prove himself with in this original film. It's like John McTiernan put a casting call out there and said, I want the biggest, meatiest, most badass, huge personality meatheads that I can find to put into this squadron to face off against this alien. And you get the great Arnold Schwarzenegger, you get Apollo Creed himself, Carl Weathers, you get Jesse Ventura, who we've seen in a lot of movies in the 80s. I mean, Bill Duke, Sonny Landham, even Shane Black, the director and the writer of the upcoming Predator. One of the best writers and one of my favorite directors out there has a small role in this movie because he was on set doing rewrites, so they just gave him a part in the movie. Hey, while you're here fucking around with this script, go ahead and just, you know, tell some really dirty jokes. You're the dirty joke guy. And he's funny, you know, every single character in this group is memorable for one scene or another. Of course, Arnold is great. Arnold is always the big, huge presence on screen that he is. Carl Weathers, we all know and love from the Rocky franchise, and he's very cool as like this friend, but also kind of a strained relationship with Arnold and this character Dylan, and the most manly, epic handshake in the world. Bill Duke, I always remember a little bit more from Commando, but he's great in this as well. Of course, you got the character of Billy and his laugh and the whole thing where he's, you know, He's like the Native American, just pure, unadulterated human, like that primal human that just wants to go toe-to-toe, man to beast with whatever he's encountering. He's badass. I mean, this group of characters, they're entertaining as hell. From the very beginning when they're kind of grouped together to whenever they're first going on this mission and they're just laying waste to all of these mercenaries or whatever the hell they are in this village like it's nothing, and then they start going toe-to-toe with this alien being, and no matter how huge, how larger than life their personalities are, how much these guys look like they could snap any other human being on Earth with like a flick of the damn wrist, when they go up against this predator, the predator makes them look like little bitches. And what a genius way to show how badass and how ruthless and how unstoppable this alien is than to match them against the biggest, meatiest human beings you could find in the 80s. And this movie's got a badass 3-act structure because the whole thing just feels like it changes itself up enough, especially for a first viewing experience. If you are one of the few human beings out there that aren't familiar with the Predator character and you watch this and just see it as like this military action movie that slowly starts kind of bending into this sci-fi action movie, and then this huge reveal in the 3rd act of what the hell they're going against. What an awesome way to structure this. I mean, you get the cast together, you have this typical kind of military action movie setup, kind of like Commando, another great Arnold movie, and where they're just laying waste and doing this mission trying to rescue whatever they're trying to rescue, and there's some, you know, there's some government entanglement going on behind the scenes that our character Duke finds out about later. Then you enter the Predator. Now it's a hunt movie for the second act of the movie, building its way all the way up to this badass conclusion, this climax, this 3rd act of Arnold Schwarzenegger versus badass alien Predator, where Arnold has to be stripped of everything. He gets stripped of his weapons, he gets stripped of his team, and it's just him, his primal instincts, the environment, the jungle, his intuition, versus this one ugly motherfucker. Oh, and let's talk about the gore for a second too, because the Predator is ruthless as fuck. I mean, every single kill in this movie that's not an off-camera kill, they go for it. I mean, there is spines and skulls being torn out of people's bodies. There's bodies that are hung up that have been skinned and just laid out as trophies in the jungle. You see people getting their heads blown off with this plasma caster. You see people like with their arms blown off. You see people torn to shreds. I mean, the Predator is not out there for mercy. The Predator is out there to paint that fucking jungle red. And it's all these little slow reveals about what is going on with this thing that is out in the jungle before they even reveal what it is. There's just something out there that nobody can see. Nobody sees it coming, nobody hears it coming. That's just laying waste to people left and right effortlessly. Talk about tension, man. I mean, it's just winding tension all the way to the point whenever you first get little small glimpses of the Predator and you're trying to figure out what the hell is going on, what is this? Especially when you pair it with the fact that they're putting the biggest guys they possibly can in front of the Predator and just letting them lay waste effortlessly, like these guys are nothing compared to this antagonist. It really takes away that little 80s action movie trope of that safety blanket of, oh, I mean, nobody's going to kill Stallone. Oh, nobody's going to kill Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, that's Jesse Ventura. Nobody's going to take him out. And these people just start getting wiped out like they ain't shit. Yeah, you lose all that sense of safety to the point where even your main character of Dutch, played by the great Schwarzenegger, you're like, I don't know, dude. This might be too much for your ass. And behind all the action, behind all the tension and the horror and the sci-fi going on and this perfect mix in the movie Predator, there's also a really clever and fun script behind it all. And it kind of goes back to the thing I was talking about earlier about this great camaraderie with these characters, these larger-than-life men. The script and the dialogue is great. Just the banter back and forth in this team. They've been working together forever. They feel like they're this unstoppable unit, even to the point where they're going into this, secret mission like, this is going to be just another day in the walk, another walk in the park. We're just going to take these motherfuckers out and go back home and open up a couple of beers. Like, they're not worried at all. The banter between Shane Black's character and anybody that'll bend an ear to hear his dirty little jokes. I mean, the badass lines you hear from Billy, like, I don't have time to bleed. And of course, all the great Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liners, that signature thing that Arnold brings to most of his movies, that's in here as well. Stronger than it ever was with, get to the chopper and stick around, and what the CIA's got you pushing too many pencils. But the thing that's cool about this movie too is even though Arnold is there, Arnold is on the cover, Arnold is on the poster, it says Schwarzenegger at the top, almost in the same size font as Predator. This is one of the few Schwarzenegger movies that don't feel like it's a Schwarzenegger movie, if that makes any sense. Like, you think about Terminator, you think about Commando, you think about Total Recall. When somebody asks the question of like, what's the greatest Schwarzenegger movies of all time? These are the movies that roll into your mind, but for whatever reason, as much as I love Predator, whenever somebody asks me with the direction of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, Predator always seems to escape my memory, because even though he's this great larger-than-life character, and he's certainly the focus of the movie, and he's certainly the focus of the marketing, the movie is so strong with its writing and with the antagonistic character of the Predator, which is also larger than life, that it feels like Schwarzenegger is one of the cogs moving this movie along, not necessarily the driving force behind it, to the point where Predator feels like a Predator movie, not necessarily a Schwarzenegger movie that stars the Predator. And that's a huge testament to John McTiernan, the director, and how he's able to balance all that and utilize Schwarzenegger to his strengths and not just let him kind of, take hold of the movie and be this huge Schwarzenegger vehicle. He used Schwarzenegger to make his movie, and this is just one of the greatest action directors of all time. I mean, he's responsible for my favorite movie of all time, Die Hard. Now you get the manliest movie ever made with Predator. He's got plenty of other classics out there. John McTiernan, God bless you. And I really only have one negative with this movie, and it's not even really that big of a negative because it doesn't really affect my viewing experience of the movie, but it's especially something that I kind of noticed this past time when I rewatched this for this review. The female character in this, the character that they're trying to rescue, and especially towards the end when Arnold Schwarzenegger's trying to get her to safety, get to the chopper! She's a character that, honestly, until I get to the scene when she's entered into the movie, I always forget that she's even a character in this. It almost seems like she's superfluous. Like, they could have went on this mission to find information or to, lay waste to this group in the first act, and then all of a sudden the Predator's there, and they just have to get out of the jungle with their lives and their heads intact. That would have been enough for this movie, and that's really how this movie feels. I completely forget every single time, by the time the credits roll, that female character was even in this movie. So that's the only negative I have, is that she feels like she's inserted into the plot, and she doesn't serve a whole lot of purpose aside from having somewhat of a reason to get to this chopper, aside from, I want to kind of get my ass home and not be a fucking hanging, skinless trophy hanging from the trees in this jungle. So that's about the only thing I can say that's negative about Predator. Other than that, hell yeah, Predator, bitch. So like I said in the beginning, guys, this is one of the greatest action movies of all time. Certainly the manliest movie of all time. One of my favorite Schwarzenegger flicks, one of my favorite sci-fi flicks, one of my favorite flicks, period. Predator is fucking awesome. So definitely, if you have not seen the original Predator by the great John McTiernan, stop this video now, get your ass out there, go out and buy it. So what do you guys think of Predator? Is this in such a high regard like it is for me, for you, or is this just kind of one of those 80s flicks that is a little bit overrated to you, that you see everybody else gushing over but you never really latched onto? And what are your expectations for The Predator coming out next week? Put all of that down below in the comment section, guys, and we will talk about it. And be sure to go over to Durbania, the link's down below in the video description, to check out his review of Predator as well. Thank you, Durbin, once again for doing a collab. You are awesome. So Please guys, like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. Check down the video description below for my social media links like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach merchandise, like some badass t-shirts. Definitely check that out, guys. Help the channel out. And another great way to help the channel out and help it grow is my Patreon page, which is a great way to support me. And it's another great way to get cool exclusive content for your eyes only. If you decide to become a patron, like the ability to choose patron-sponsored reviews or top 5 videos, and also the Blu-ray digital copy codes that I buy for my Blu-rays every single week. I give those away to my patrons, so check all that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, you can check those out by clicking right over here.